This is the Generational Yearbook.
The questions come up with family. They do. Family photos come up, and you can't really explain who these individuals were.
What did you want to be growing up?
This is what the podcast is about. Podcast is bringing each other together without having to be right next to each other.
Our youth right now, we're quickly forgetting our past.
I had no idea that your thought on the world was my daughter's destruction seminar that I gave him about lying.
It's like that's what it is. Like, you see everywhere. You see gargoyles. Like, you see a Game of Thrones. You see it with like Inside Out. Like, our worlds colliding. This is gonna be a really good podcast. Yeah. Y'all stay tuned. Y'all gonna like this.
All right. How are we doing today?
Generational Yearbook introductions.
All right. So first, I want to say thank you guys for joining us and possibly subscribing to us as well. But at the end, we just really want to say thank you for joining us today and getting started with this Generational Yearbook.
Generational Yearbook. So let's go ahead. We prepared some questions so we can go ahead and give a little bit of an introduction to ourselves. So let's go ahead and start with the first one. Who are we and why are we here?
All right.
Want to go ahead and start, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start this off. So, who are we? We're Generational Yearbook. I am Jimi-Lee Surface. I don't come from Houston, actually. I'm actually from Washington State, and I've been here for about 16 years, and it's a lot different, not gonna lie. Sometimes Houstonians can make you feel proud, and sometimes I just like to laugh from time to time.
Yeah, Houston has a way of making people that feel a certain way. I mean, everyone says they feel a certain way about Houston, but I mean, what do I know? So Washington State, now you're here in Houston. What brought you over here?
I actually came down as a vacation from my uncles. In my town, it's very small. We can only have potato fields and a sand dunes. That's all we have in our small town.
Oh, that's
with a
cool.
Walmart right in the middle.
Yeah.
So there was no opportunities. So I actually was sent down here to see a vacation and check everything out. I ended up having my first daughter when I came down here. And you always have to follow the wife's, the wife around wherever she goes. So you don't get to go back home. You have to follow the wife in anywhere she's from and where she wants to go. So I'm glad Houston's where I found her because I found who I am in Houston.
Good job, Houston.
Houston's amazing. It's a little hot for my taste. Sometimes I like the cold, but it is an amazing atmosphere. But that exactly is why I'm here. Is about 16 years ago that I came down, and you know what? I don't know where my life would be if I was still in Washington. So I'm glad I'm here and given the opportunity to go ahead and move to the next generation. And for yourself, who are we, and why are you here?
So, again, this is the Generational Yearbook. So who are we and who am I and we? So I'm Christian Ortiz. And I'm a father, a husband, and follower of Christ as well. I used to be an educator. I became a programmer because I became dissatisfied with the education system. It just wasn't for me. I guess I didn't want to walk that line, Now I guess I'm ready to do something more with my. I mean, I'm still a programmer, but I want to do something where I'm thinking about the future, and I think that's what brings us here today. And so that leads us to our next question.
All right, guys. So we're now time for the second question.
Yeah.
We thought we were never going to come, and here it is. What is the goal of this podcast for this generation and the next? The whole reason behind this podcast, what is the goal that you have in mind, precisely, ideally, whatever may come to you at this moment, and what do you believe this Generational Yearbook is going to bring to the next generation?
The goal of this podcast is to remember the past now. And by that I mean, honestly, Jimmy, there's just so much. Like the news is always telling I feel like it's shoving in my face like, oh, people are burning down statues, you know. I'm here forgetting my father, and in the announcement video, you know, I mentioned that his last words to me were, you know, don't forget your past. And so it hits hard because I'm guilty of it. And so when I see things of that nature where people are kind of like trying to get rid of the past, I think to myself, like, is this what I did with my grandpa, and not even someone who was generations ago? This is just like literally my grandpa. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's just, yeah, I guess on top of that, I realized that if I could see a podcast or an interview with these people, because no one's reading anymore, you know, no one's reading
Absolutely.
books about these people. Like we're on our phones, we're watching videos, and so I thought to myself, like, if I could watch interviews of these people who were taking statues down of, you know, I would totally do it. Like I watch podcasts all the time, and I thought to myself, like, man, I wish I had interviews of my grandpa, because I'm here relating the two ideas, right. And I thought, like, if I because family pictures don't do enough, you know. They don't have videos. I mean, 100%. Sorry, they don't have words. You know, they don't capture all, like, a full gesture and a full emotion or someone getting mad, a dialogue between two people, and so I thought to myself, we got to start doing this now, and because if we don't, who's gonna do it? And so I'm hoping that we can start a trend where people are also interviewing their own families and putting them on their screens, so the future generations can go ahead and take the best from it. Because, to be honest, I feel like everyone's being critical of the past, and I totally understand we have to remember the mistakes that we've made, but we need to take the best so we can move forward in a healthy fashion. Because if you don't take the best from the past, then, you know, you're only going to be reminiscing or ruminating on the negative things, and that never looks good. That never looks good.
You said it. You said it. The best of the best. And we're not talking about like the most accomplished. We're talking individuals that these stories that have never really been seen, either because they didn't have an opportunity to speak on them, or possibly that they don't have the audience that would even want to listen. So this opportunity that we have at Generational Yearbook definitely gives every individual the starlight that they're looking for the accomplishments that made them who they are, and the struggle that took them there. It's an amazing opportunity that you brought this on.
No, and I completely agree, Jimmy. I feel like, in a way, we're giving a voice to the voiceless. Like, people who've been waiting to get their story out. Maybe they just need another platform. Maybe they don't have any platform. Maybe they don't think they have anything to offer. And we're telling you, you have a voice. You have something to give, and you're worth remembering. And I think that's what we hope to get that with this podcast, man. So,
awesome.
How about for you, Jimmy? What's your goal with this podcast? What do you hope for the next generation?
From this podcast, I'm a giant fan of the idea behind this generational yearbook. And the strong fact is that I am a proud father of 2 daughters, and the questions come up with family. They do. Family photos come up, and you can't really explain who these individuals were, because there's a lot of times you don't even remember or recall a lot of opportunities that were amazing, but you just can't recall them in the time. The opportunity to be able to go to a location, find a family member or friend that you truly care about, and remember the best of them is outstanding. I can't even think twice on how amazing it would be for some people that were close to me that I didn't have the opportunity to ask them, what do you see yourself as moving forward in this life? And how did you get here? I'm a giant fan of stories. I love talking with people, one-on-one interactions, and this gives an opportunity to get the best of each individual when it comes to what brought them to who they are and what they learned. Wisdom, I think, is the best thing given in life. Wisdom is how we learn, from anywhere from learning how to read to learning what's important in life.
To move forward.
Yeah. Wisdom is all about it. If you learn only one way, that's all you know growing up. If you express yourself and learn into these different categories, going to college, learning from different professors, you get these opportunities to learn the wisdom that they learned. It's not just information they learned, it's wisdom and what they know is fact.
Stories are being told.
Exactly. Yeah. So given the opportunity to go ahead and move that towards the next generation, I think the Generational Yearbook will give the friends and families of anybody that watches this station an opportunity to grow within themselves and have a better life in the future.
I'm glad to have you with me here, Jimmy. Cheers. Toast to that, man. Toast to that. Toast to that. All right.
What did you want to be growing up?
All right. Cool. I guess.
Who wants to start? You know what? That way we don't fill it out. Let's do something fun. Every question that we ask ourselves when we do this, let's rock, paper, scissors. That we're not waiting for you to say, you should do it first. You should do it. Let's leave it to faith. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, look at that.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Hey, so he was cheating. He was looking at the camera.
Who goes first?
Huh?
If I win, I choose who goes first?
Yeah, you choose who goes first in the question.
All right, well, I guess I choose me.
There you go.
No, just kidding. Go. Right. So Jimmy, what did you want to be growing up?
Growing up?
Yeah.
Growing up. Okay, to be fully honest, what I wanted to be growing up, and I'm not talking as, a teenager or into high school that I feel like my career is starting. I'm talking about when I actually was more innocent and more stargazing about what my future would be growing up, exactly where I was at that time. And what I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Really?
I love animals to death. I'm scared of those snakes and those little things like that, but I love animals. I feel like there's something so pure about animals, but I'm totally not like that right now. Like, my main job is nowhere close to protecting animals at all.
Yeah.
I do protect the community for my business.
And your daughters?
Other than that, and my daughters, of course. But I am not a veterinarian. I do wish sometimes I do have a loving pet in our family that takes care of our kids, and I love her to death. But that's exactly what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Wow. Oh, that's cool. I had no clue.
Yeah. Wanted to take care of sick animals. All right, so back to it here. I was now finishing off what I was as a little Jimmy, little kid.
Yeah.
Wanted to be growing up. My question is to you, Christian Ortiz, is what did you want to be when you were growing up?
So I wanted to be it went from psychologist to clinical psychologist to clinical neuropsychologist. And because what happened was as I went in, I feel like my family is so interesting. And I'm sure anyone can vouch for their families. Like, oh, my family's crazy, blah, 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 and I was always curious as to know, like, why did that person do that? Why did they do that? What? That doesn't make any sense. That's like against your morals. And so I felt like psychology was it to trying to crack that code. And then I started venturing into like the more neurological aspects to it, like what were the functions of certain parts of the brain. But what I'm trying to say is
it sounds like you wanted to make a difference.
I guess so. I was just trying to figure people out, and so now I'm here. I'm a programmer. I'm just trying to figure out the world around me, man, at the end of the day. Like, that's why I had a bachelor's in psychology, a bachelor's in health, and then I got a master's in data science. And the reason in the data science was because everyone kept throwing studies in my face, especially in like our news articles. And I'm like, I want to know how to read these articles, like the specific. I already knew, I had some familiarity with it, but I wanted to go ahead and get in depth with the studies so I could tell whether they were bullshitting me or not.
Oh, 100%.
And so I didn't exactly apply it for that, but I did use it to help me learn more about the world and advance my life. So, yeah.
It sounds like you're actually accomplishing what you wanted to do at the end of the day. Myself, just hearing that, that's exactly more or less what the podcast you're setting up is all about, is being able to understand the human nature and the reasoning behind the effects that brought them to who they are.
Yeah. Honestly.
And you were bringing that knowledge that you have towards your craft on what you wanted to do and moving it forward in a positive way that the community doesn't have to act like they are not able to see it. They're able to pull out any phone, any device, and watch it anytime they feel like it. And that is the opportunity that you're giving them. I think that you're doing absolutely great. You are hitting the goal you're looking for. Even if you may have thought your goal was going to take you to an Ivy League location, you're doing the exact thing you wanted to do at the end of the day, using the tools of your craft, and you're bringing it to the world.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. That's amazing. A lot of people can't say that.
Well, let's one step at a time, right?
One step at a time.
Yeah. And that leads us to our next question, which is like what brought us here, and that's exactly right, Jimmy. I'm a problem solver, man. Like at work, one time someone told me, like, oh, Christian, like which solution should we choose? And I kind of laughed, and I was just like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, which approach should we take? I said, dude, we're gonna do all of them. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, what? And I said, we have to try all of them. That way we have no excuses, and we cover our bases, and they can't tell us nothing,
Correct.
And so I'm a solutions guy, and I see these issues going on at a macro cosmic scale, and with like the statue burning that I was saying, and then at a microcosmic scale with like people like our youth right now, we're quickly forgetting our past. And so, and then I just thought, what's the solution to this? And I wrote everything in. I have a journal, and eventually the journal led to this. This is the best. This is my solution in accordance to my strength. And so I said, I need to start recording people. And the funny thing is, like, people in my family for the longest, some people, not everyone, were saying like, well, you were never there, Christian, and the truth is, it's true. I wasn't really around, but now I'm trying to immortalize, like not only the family, but everyone I know. And so I may not be around all the time, but I want to make sure y'all stick around forever.
Well, that's a lot of the thing, isn't it? A lot of the time when you are trying to accomplish something on yourself and better yourself and your family, there's a lot of opportunities that you're not going to make, opportunities that come up with being next to each other. But that's the amazing thing about the phone. The phone is a communication of, you know what, I want you to know about this. You weren't there. Those communications are a key. You don't always have to be at a physical place. It's hard to be everywhere at once when you're trying to do a lot of things. Or try to squeeze in a 30-minute conversation in a 24-hour time span when you only have 28 hours to actually finish every project you have for that day.
Yeah.
So trying to go ahead and make sure you have the time to be at locations. This is what the podcast is about. Podcast is bringing each other together without having to be right next to each other and separate your goals that you have in your life, but be able to help the masses and your family understand who you are and where you truly come from. Because
there's no way we can bring everyone together in one room, right? So we'll do it exactly the way you just said it.
We'll do it just like that, and we'll go ahead and bring our families to them. We'll bring our friends to the world. We'll bring everyone that wants to be a part of Generational Yearbook with an opportunity to go ahead and speak their speak and whatever they want to go ahead and say to the world and who they are and better understand who they are. We'll give them a platform. We'll give them the opportunity to come here. I'm having fun. I'm not going to lie. I'm having a little fun.
All right. So on that note, Jimmy, like I've spoken about, what brought me here, what brings you here.
Okay. What brings me here? Like I said, I'm very honored to be in here for this opportunity. A lot of the fact of the reason is I came from a family that we don't really talk about other people outside of the house. My family is, we're looking at 11 uncles and aunts, and I grew up in a household that didn't want to speak to any one of them. So I never had opportunity to learn from anybody else about what the world was like or is now in another view. I always had my own view in my head, and that's how the world worked. Not until I actually came out to Houston was I actually able to see that the world is seen by so many different views, and bring me to a understanding that I just loved telling. I loved hearing stories. I worked at the mall for the longest time as one of those kiosk guys.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things about those kiosk positions is that you have to be there early in the morning before they open up.
Yeah.
And you get all those elderly individuals that like to walk in the morning and do the mall walks. They have the most amazing stories. I would light my day up and wake up early just to have stories with these amazing individuals. Like, you have no idea if they're fake or not. You have no idea what's going on, but you do get these energied individuals in their 60s and 80s, taking a walk in the morning in the mall, and they will tell you about their time in the war. They will tell you about their last 3 marriages.
Yeah.
They'll tell you about their spoiled kids. They'll tell you about who their favorite kid is. They'll tell you about everything, as long as you give them the opportunity. And I see that this opportunity I'm in right now, and what brought me here is I just love those stories. And as soon as this opportunity came up and this channel was able to be accessed to the world, I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to go ahead and hear the stories from another view. I wanted to take the journey with them as they remember. And that's exactly what I'm here for. I'm here for the stories so I can know what this world that we're living in actually holds. Because my life, it doesn't hold much. But there's a lot of individuals that have experienced more than I have that I can live through them. And that's exactly what I want to do.
Cheers to that, man. Yeah. So next question. So now I guess this would be member exclusive content.
Okay, so this would be exclusive content, yes.
Right.
Okay, so we have talked a lot of things about things that brought us here and the opportunities we had growing up and where the world is as where we want it to be in the future. But we haven't yet discussed where the world is today.
Yeah.
Where the world is today.
Or, like our thoughts on it, rather.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the questions we have for our exclusive content is if you're subscribed to us would necessarily be an opportunity to see what the future holds and where do we see what needs to be changed in the world today as the individuals that we have on the podcast. You know, straight from their mouth, exactly where they see the world and the problems that we see. And if we agree or we don't agree, that's for the message board.
So
we're focused on you.
Yeah. What do you think about the world today, Jimmy?
The world today, me personally, I don't really want to get into too much electoral stuff that's going on, just because I know the fan board is going to be flying off the roof with anything I say, because there's always negativity no matter which side you're on.
The fuck? Who's our fan board?
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out once we get a fan board. We'll go ahead and get the messages coming in. But either way, to me, the world is it's coming to a halt. It's coming to a point that it's about to run into itself. There's no help behind it. There's no stopping period. There's no slowdown. The world loves to clash.
Yeah.
And they'll clash about everything and anything that comes across it. And if we don't get an opportunity to realize what the world is truly about and what brings us together, we'll always be separated. And that's exactly what we're running into. We can't find a politician now that we can actually be behind 100%. We can't find just one. Because before we know it, they're doing something that we don't agree with. Because we want the individual that we're backing to be us. We want to go ahead and say, oh, they feel this way.
Yeah, well, we're never gonna find someone who's
100% not.
Yeah, but that's why the world is perfect, because we're able to. It's not perfect, but we're all still here, you know. And I think I would keep going.
No worries. So this for me personally, I'm not big on reading the news. I'm not big on watching what's going on. I'm simply one of those individuals that I'll take care of my family. And you know what? It's one of my biggest regrets. One of my biggest regrets is being an individual that I say, I'll take care of my family and what's close to me, and I don't really worry about the world around me. Because the individuals that are like myself that just worry about themselves and they don't look into it a little bit more, and I'm guilty for not doing that.
Yeah.
But I am 100% on the bandwagon that I can control what I can control. But I need to get individuals, and I need to be able to have the outreach to be able to say, this is what we don't agree with. And that's where I fall. I haven't got to that point yet. But I do want to go ahead and get to there. So my world aspect is that I'm hoping that more individuals that are like myself in this world, that just keep to themselves, are starting inch by inch to move forward. Because at this moment, we're going to keep bumping heads because everyone's trying to protect their own. No one's protecting the community. Everyone's protecting themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
For yourself, I know you're more into this world renowned, save the world, understanding on an ideal plan. What do you think of the world today?
All right. Well, now we're really going to jump into the members exclusive, guys. So now we're actually in the members exclusive. And it turns out that my camera was working the whole time. I just didn't press record. So, yeah, I think this world right now is kind of fucked, man.
Okay. I want to continue. But I feel like before this conversation, we do need to have another toast. Okay. For now, this is the exclusive, and we want to invite you to join us with what the world is today.
So, yeah, I think this world is not, it's not completely messed up. I mean, we have plenty of great people right now who are trying to do something, and that's why it brought me here, if I'm being honest. Like, well, what I said earlier brought me here. Mm-hmm. But there's specific individuals who've changed my mindset, okay, and have, like, I guess they're in my mind now. Right. And they're helping guide my decisions moving forward. And I'll say it right now, it's like Jordan Peterson, Jonathan Pageau, I guess Lex Friedman, just because he interviews people, but not much so like his
you brought me on to Jonathan Peterson, and I gotta say, I've gone through a couple of his pages already.
Oh, you hadn't heard of him before?
I've never heard of him until you spoke of him, and there's a lot that gets me in trouble towards work. Like, I can't watch him before work because then I won't clock in on time. Yeah. So I got to make sure to go ahead that it is.
Because in my mind, everyone knows who Jordan Peterson is.
But that's why I said I'm in a bubble of my own emotion. So because of my bubble, I don't reach out, which I need to be able to expand. And that's what admires me of yourself as well so much. But I'm very curious on how this is going to continue moving. So please continue with what you think of the world.
Hold on. Member exclusive alert. His daughter wants to show him a painting real quick.
What's up? Okay. Sorry, guys. We'll go ahead and involve. This is my daughter's youngest painting. She is making an amazing artist. A unicorn. Keep your comments to yourself. Unless you think it's amazing like I do. Thank you so much. You still have a lot to go. And let's continue doing that, okay? All right, enjoy.
Sorry, where were we before that alert?
Okay, so before that amazing introduction of my daughter's painting, bringing us back to where you believe the world is taking you today and where it is today with where you believe it is. Yeah.
Oh, but so so Jordan really shaped my ideas moving forward. Like, it went from psychology to like out of nowhere religion, and then he hooked up with this guy, Jonathan Pageau, and then Jonathan Pageau helped me understand the symbolism behind the Bible a lot more. So like when people would be like, "Oh, the Bible is just a lot of symbols," I'd be like, "Yeah," and I just didn't know. But now, if people were to ask me questions, like I can't, I feel fairly confident I can answer most questions on the symbolism. I mean, I'm not done reading the Bible. I'm still reading it, but I have watched so many videos, man. And I read half of his brother's book. I'm not done with it. And it just.
Do you remember the brother's name?
Yeah. It's Matthew Pajo. Matthew
Okay.
Pajo. And yeah, they helped me realize that there is some good in the world, and I need to be taking the best from it. And so that's that. So the world is not completely messed up, guys. I'm sorry, but there's some good people. I just think that we're at the edge of the world right now. And we need to try our best to keep things tight before we allow anything more strange in, because I think it's like a balloon, like the more, it's not like the balloon's nice, and as it gets bigger and you blow into it, it's like, oh, it's even bigger, it's nice, it's pretty, but if you keep blowing air into it, it's just gonna pop, and so that's the edge of the world. Like if you,
that's what I tell my daughters about lying.
Yeah.
If you blow into a balloon, you're speaking one lie. If you continue speaking lies, eventually it's gonna pop.
Yeah, because that world fractures. Like the web of lies that you create, and the actions you have to do to sustain those lies. Like you put yourself in a trap, And I feel like that's what's going on right now. Like we're putting ourselves in a trap. But yeah, that's what I think of the world.
That's awesome. I had no idea that your thought on the world was my daughter's destruction seminar that I gave him about lying. It was so similar, and I had no idea because I just kind of spit it out myself.
Yeah.
And you were making actually the same story work towards where the world is at this moment.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where we're at right now.
Great explanation, and I'm glad that I didn't lie to my kids, because it's a great opportunity. Sometimes you just spin stuff as a father sometimes, and just kind of like, okay, this is what this means.
And just to like go elaborate on, just cause I wish I had my notebook to show you, but like the edge of the world thing is ridiculous. I think Hollywood knows this stuff, man, because what you see the edge of the world as a reference in like all of these movies. Like, did you see the new Inside Out movie?
The new Inside Out, you know what? I wanted to watch it, and I was very tempted to.
Okay, that's fine. What about you? Watched Game of Thrones, right? At least the first series.
Yes, of course.
Okay, of course. What stands at the edge?
You know what? I don't remember. Now I feel like a bad Game of Thrones fan.
Okay, like what the Night's Watch.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say, but I was like,
be confident. Like, trust yourself.
Trust
yourself, man.
That's the that's the middle ground.
At the edge, it's the Night's Watch, because they're protecting where are they protecting?
I'm still on board for being King Game of Thrones.
but what stands at the edge, it is the Night's Watch.
Correct.
And not only that, but what is the Night's Watch? It's like all of the already strange things going on. Correct. Like the bastards, like the people who they don't know who their parents are.
Right, they're all the murderers, the rapists, anybody that got caught for anything other than prison.
You place
or death,
the strange at the edge to protect you from what's already strange.
That's
and so like you see that for gargoyles too, at the edges of churches. You put the strange at the edge of the church
to protect the innocent inside.
Yeah, exactly.
Understandable.
And then and even in the reason I mentioned the Inside Out movie is because what you see is that they throw all of the bad memories out to
I saw a clip about that.
Oh, you did?
I saw a clip about that when the emotions that were the innocent emotions were actually cast away by the new emotions, and
they were cast
that's all I saw. I saw they were cast away.
Well, even in the point, they were all doing it, bro. They were all guilty of it. Like they were tossing the memories out to the edge of like their current world. And so in order to save their current world, they had to bring the memories at the edge back to them. You had to take the best from the edge into the middle, like bring it back in.
Correct.
And so like there's this constant loop, there's this constant loop that you see and it's just, and it's like that's what it is. Like you see everywhere. You see gargoyles. Like you see a Game of Thrones. You see it with like Inside Out. You see in all of these movies, man. And that's when I realized like Jonathan Pageau's onto something.
You know what? I need to get back into that. I'm terrible with memorization. I'm glad this clip will go ahead and remind me as well. But I need to go ahead and get into some of these individuals because I'm such a giant inspiration of just of yourself and individuals that brought you to the understanding of what you think about the world right now. I definitely want to jump behind. So please go ahead and make sure that I'm understanding of these individuals moving forward once we get done with this, so I can get a list of individuals to look up and try to grab some inspiration from as well and get on a better page on where the world is today.
Yeah, well, it's just my thoughts, man. You know, I could always be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, guys.
Nobody does.
It just seems to connect so well. I cannot not understand the world like this now.
Well, that's where it brings it back around. On my daily basis. So when on a daily basis, you don't really see a lot of individuals being in the business that you're in, huh? You don't get face to face too much, do you?
No, I don't.
See, on my side, I get face to face with individuals doing my position. Is that I get a lot of people that lie to me.
Oh, really?
Immediately.
Wow.
So my introduction is I have to make sure that the business stays afloat and doesn't lose any profit in any kind of way.
Yeah.
So the moment somebody takes upon themselves to make that company lose profit, I have to be there to make the introduction.
Yeah.
And the first response I get is, "Oh no, I didn't do that. Oh, I didn't know about that."
Yeah.
Well, there's actual footage of you knowing this. So I get a constant lie the moment I interact with anybody.
Oh, wow.
On a daily basis for 10 hours a day.
See, and I
get
can't
negative.
function like that at all because
I get negativity. So my world aspect is so I'm hopeful.
So interesting.
I'm so hopeful to the world.
Yeah.
I'm hoping society is not just these individuals that I see on a daily basis. I'm so hopeful for that. But that is my introduction. My daily basis is how do I deal with these people that believe that they can pull one off on somebody.
Yeah.
That they can fake their way into a lie.
Yeah.
When there is footage on a daily basis of this is exactly what happened. So, the world aspect on what you see through your eyes and what you hear through your ears is going to be different from anybody else, just like myself.
Yeah.
What I see and what I hear are so different. But I'm glad we can come together, bring this podcast to the world, and be part of a community that can help better.
I just want to compare. I just want to contrast that with mine real quick, and then I think we should wrap this up. But it's because it's so interesting because my job is almost completely different. Like you're right, I don't get any face to face time because I work remotely. But we cannot lie to each other because in programming, I mean, if you lie, the program doesn't work.
Exactly.
If you lie, the program doesn't work.
Right.
And so you have to.
The numbers
the
have
program
to match
has
up.
to be true. It has to, in order to work. And not only does it have to be true, but we have to document it so we know what we're writing. Like, I mean, some people don't, but it helps when you document. But the point is, like, we can't. I'm not in the business of lying at all, or else the job doesn't work. You can't be a programmer if you're lying.
Well, my side is as well. Like, I have to speak the truth about what I saw. So things that I see, I have to be, this is exactly why I had to call the cops on you. Because what I saw. I had to do what's best for the company, not for yourself. But constantly, no matter what age, from 14 to 65, I've had immediately act like they're shocked that they did something that they weren't supposed to do. Because they're trying to get away with something.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, man. It's very interesting how the world is.
Yeah, I like our worlds colliding. This is gonna be a really good podcast, man. Yeah, y'all stay tuned. Y'all are gonna like this.
We want to thank you guys coming for sure. Appreciate my boy right here. We're gonna go ahead and continue this podcast moving forward with you guys. Please join us. Thank you so much for joining the exclusive. We're hoping if there's any questions you have, leave them for us as well, and we'll go ahead and answer them on the next episode that we have.